Hi, and welcome back to a podcast with your host, Miriam and Raise Your Vibes. It has been a while since I've done a podcast, and that's because I have needed a bit of time and a bit of energy to look after myself and do other various projects and so on. But this is an important podcast to do with protecting your spiritual energy. So what do I mean by that? Well, all of us have different aspects of what we call spirituality. Some of us follow it very religiously. We follow a tradition. We follow a particular rule. We set traditions. We follow maybe things within our family, within our cultures, different mindsets, different ways of doing things. And some of us have a way of looking at life in a different perspective or a different compass. And some of us believe in yin, yang, looking at the negative and the positive and looking at the different sort of aspects of life and how they can collaborate with each other, but also contrast with each other too. And there are times when some of us who are very spiritually in tune and, look at the universe and look at different aspects of, I guess, how the universe connects with us on a spirit level and on a soul level, and that's what I mean by the spirituality, we often look at our energy, In Reiki, we look at energy and we look at color aura, we look at how people vibe, we look at how people are around us, and there are times when some of that energy is very, very positive around us. And, we absorb from it, we molded from it, we are shaped by it. At times it has a ripple effect on us as well. And these relationships and friendships can also be negative too. So we have to counterbalance that too. There are times when we have people around us and we don't realize they're negative. They are naysayers. They are people that drag us down. They are people that aren't very kind to us. They are people that perhaps are extremely toxic, mildly toxic, a little bit toxic. They're people that are needy, and as we are absorbing as adults, we are checking out people's characteristics and we are checking out people's energy levels and we are looking at that, I guess, in depth. Sometimes we, as we go through our friendships, we don't always fully absorb some of the different types of people that we are around. And we don't fully understand that energy is being absorbed into us. We don't necessarily protect ourselves and protect our outer ego, our outer selves, our, mindset. Sometimes, unfortunately, we're dragged into these situations and we are sometimes forced to put up with certain people and scenarios because of the predicaments they put us in. So there are times when these situations do occur, and even as grown adults, sometimes we might not feel comfortable enough to do something about it because we feel there's going to be conflict. We feel that it's going to be very awkward to say to that individual, look, I'm not very happy about this situation and I need to protect my energy. I need to protect myself and I don't like having you around me. I don't like this friendship anymore and I don't like this situation anymore. So these are things that aren't easy to do to protect our aura and protect our energy. And it's hard sometimes when you're around toxic friends. You don't realize it, the toxic friends, perhaps. Initially, perhaps you don't realize it. You might see them being kind and respectful to some people, and there are times they're disrespectful to us. So we don't always see their true intentions. And there are times when these people are also perhaps manipulative. Perhaps they are saying one thing to us and saying another behind our back. There are times, some of us, you may not realize this, have karmic relationships. Spiritually, this person's here to teach us many, many lessons about ourselves and about each other, to be fair. And we don't always realize that. We're sort of attached to them. We're attracted to them. We might be in a loving, caring relationship that's toxic to a certain degree, but we don't understand fully the depth of the fact that this person really shouldn't be with us, and we shouldn't be with them, but we tolerate it for whatever reason. We stay in that situation for whatever reason. And this is where quite a lot of narcissistic relationships occur too, because Sometimes you're drawn to stay in that situation. I certainly was in my first marriage. I was aware he was narcissistic, but I hadn't really connected all the dots together till much, much later on. And sometimes we don't. Sometimes we don't see that that person is stealing our energy and stealing our vibe and stealing, our peace and our patience. And we don't realize that we're sucked in. We don't realize we're drawn in. And sometimes it's very hard to step out of that and escape. And this is why sometimes our work colleagues, our friends, it's good to sort of step back and take a reflection on those individuals. And it's good to have a look at the people we absorb ourselves by, the people we surround ourselves by. I personally, as I've got older, my friend scenario has got smaller and smaller and smaller to the point where I can count people on my hand. I have a lot of acquaintances, I have people I know, and there's been times also where life has had to have a bit of a shake-up and a wake-up because there's people that I've had to say goodbye to. I've had certain boundaries, I've had certain people in my life, and they've done certain things, or there's things that I cannot forgive, and I've had to be ruthless and cut them out of my life. And when I've not heard from them, I won't contact them, they're not in my life anymore. That also is very, very hard to do, but it's something very important to do to protect your soul and to protect your mindset and to also protect your aura, and helps you sort of lead a fulfilling and happy life. Like I said, that is not easy to do. Cutting out people that you have known maybe 10 years, 15 years, 5 years, it could be 8 months, is not always easy to do because we invest time, energy into those people. But it is worth it to move forward. And it's worth it to look after yourself, to look after your goals, and to look after your dreams. It is worth it. It's not a sacrifice. Sometimes these things have to happen where you say goodbye. And you should also look at the lessons you learned from that situation. Did you bend over backwards in that friendship? Did you put more effort into it than the other person? Was it just a one-way situation? Was one person giving, taking, and so on? Was that person being manipulative? Were they being honest, dishonest, and so on? There'll be reasons why that friendship and soul friendship has ended. You'll know the reasons why. You'll have particular barriers that you've had up as to why you've ended it. And you have to stand by that. Not everybody does. They will keep taking that person back. And unfortunately, that's where energy gets blurred, and that's where you're not protecting your soul, you're not protecting your aura, and you're not protecting and respecting yourself. And believe me, it's very easy to get sucked back in and to keep forgiving and to keep accepting. But the point is, you get to a point where you don't recognize yourself anymore because you've given too much of yourself away. And we have to be careful with that, because the more you forgive, the more you're not really respecting yourself, and you're not respecting your boundaries, and you're not respecting the energy that's around you. So it's important to bear that in mind and to understand that you come first. And again, that's a lesson that some of us find very, very difficult. We find it very difficult to protect ourselves and to love and cherish ourselves more than the other person. So this is important too, to protect your aura that way. Of course, it's important to look after your loved ones and people that you're in a relationship with, but it's also important, to voice issues with you and to voice the kindness and the love and compassion that you show others to yourself first too. That's not being selfish, it's not being egotistical, it's about self-preservation. And, hand on heart, how many of us do that? Not many. So that's something we also need to do to protect our aura. And like I said, now and again, if we need to reflect, if we need to stand back, if we need to look at that friendship and maybe take steps back, maybe we distance ourselves, maybe we don't interact with that person like we did do. Sometimes silence says wonders. Sometimes confrontation works wonders, right? There's no one way about it. Sometimes having that conversation with that person face to face, as long as it doesn't get heated, obviously, sometimes it does, and telling them, these are the things I'm sorry, I'm not happy with, and these are my non-negotiables. I'm not going to budge. I'm not happy about this situation. I'm not happy that this is how you are treating me and talking to me and being with me, something has to give and I have to walk away. There are times when some people will be very, very confrontational with you. And there are times when people will understand and respect where you're coming from. And you have to, work out which one that is. We have to work out which scenario you fit in with well and which situation you're able to walk away from and the one that looks after you the most. So that's, to me, is more important than anything else. Having a massive ding-dong, having a big altercation and a fight doesn't always get you the results that you need. Sometimes to let go of anger and frustration, sometimes, verbally, we might have to get heated, maybe verbally. Sometimes with certain people, it might be necessary, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes you can say things peacefully. And sometimes I've learned silence is the best answer. Walking away, closing the door, metaphorical door behind you and walking forward is the best solution. Anyway, wherever you are, whichever situation you're in, protect yourself first, protect your aura, protect you. And, now and again, have a little check up on your friends, check up on who they are, step back from some friendships that are no longer friendships anymore. Maybe you put them in the acquaintance category. Maybe sometimes we just step away from that friendship altogether. But it's good to just now and again have a little wake-up call, have a little bit of check-up and realise which one you need, which one you don't, and move forward and keep moving forward and keep looking after yourself. Hopefully we'll have more podcasts on a more regular basis like I did before. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. And this has been Miriam Khan at Raise Your Vibes.